Welcome to the Curiosity Catalyst podcast. My name is Mitch South. So good to have you here. The purpose of this podcast is to be curious. Curiosity is the key that opens up the doors to possibility, which will open up a world of endless learning and discovery. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let's get into this episode. All right, welcome back, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in this week. It's been a couple crazy weeks. I've been trying to go on, me and Julia have been trying to go on a bunch of vacations just because I'm about to get back into school and Julia's about to have a baby. So we wanted to see if we could do a little baby moon or something like that. And as we were prepping to go on a trip, we had tickets to Maui. And unfortunately, we woke up the morning of, had everything packed, ready to head out, and we look on the news and there's a horrific fire burning in Maui and it burned down. Right now, as far as they know, 36 people have died and it's just crazy. So kind of a bummer, but we had to cancel our trip and we're going to go on a little staycation kind of a thing up in Salt Lake. So it'll be fun, but I've been making way too many excuses on making this podcast, and so I wanted to follow through and actually make it. Julia, she was keeping me honest, and so it's good to have somebody who will keep you accountable. For the quote of the week this week, it's from a guy that I really enjoy to listen to. His name is Sinek, and it is, if we want to feel an underlying passion for our work, if we want to feel we are contributing to something bigger than ourselves, we all need to know our why. So my question to you is, what is your why? Anyone that has worked a day in the sales industry, that has ever had to sell anything, you have probably had this in some of your meetings, understanding why you do something. But that begs the question, why does knowing your why make a difference? I wanted to kind of go through a couple examples, and the first one is a little story, and there's a man, and he was walking down the street, and it was a big city, middle of the day, and as he's starting to walk down the street, he looks down and he sees three men that are really busy and they're digging a really long ditch. And they're working hard. Like, these guys are just going to town and they're digging and digging. And he is kind of just watching them work. And as he's watching them, they go and they start taking their water break. And so, interested in what they're doing, he goes up to the first guy and he says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And the guy responds, "I'm digging a ditch." And so he goes up to the second guy and he says, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" And he said, "We're digging a ditch for the water line that's going to be for that building going up over there." And then he goes over to the third guy and he asks, "Hey, so what are you guys doing over here?" And the man looked up and replied, "We're building a cathedral. It will be a big, beautiful cathedral with big, tall spires and beautiful stained glass windows. It will seat 500 people. It will be the most beautiful church in the city. That's what we're doing." Which of these men do you think is most motivated? Obviously, it's going to be the one who has the vision of building a beautiful church, because he's more committed. He may be digging a ditch, but he's proud of what he's doing. It's not the activity that defines a job, but how someone sees their activity in the context of an organization's culture and style that matters. If people are working together to build a church, the shovel is not as heavy, the ground is not as hard, the days are not as long. It is no longer the same task. it is not what people are doing, but how they view their collective effort as a part of a mission that puts passion into their activity, passion that can lead to extraordinary results. I love this story because I think that at times we are each of those three men. Sometimes when we're out and we're doing something that we don't want to do, we're digging a ditch. And sometimes we can see the logic behind what we're doing, but we're not passionate about it. And other times we find ourselves understanding the true purpose. I'd say that sometimes even you know more, the people who know their why almost better than anyone else, a lot of the times are parents. Because as a child, it's hard to understand. You just know that your parents love you, and you know that they're going to take care of you and do what is best for you. And when you grow up and you think about the process of bringing someone to life and giving them a life and love and everything that they need, it's hard to underappreciate and oversay what you're actually what they're actually doing, the process that goes into it. The amount I would postulate that parents understand their why better than almost anyone, because they know what that person is going to grow up and do, and that there's purpose in their life, that they have love and motivation behind what they're doing. And so I feel like, especially as an up and coming father, that I feel that why. I know that it's coming, and it makes me really excited to be able to introduce life and knowledge and wisdom and everything that I can to help my kids have a better life. Now, 4 years ago, I was fresh off of a mission, and I was filled with a ton of excitement and motivation and looking to kind of just make something in my life. And at that time, on a mission, it was a church mission, you are all about other people. You're just trying to help other people. That's your number one goal. And coming home, it feels a little bit selfish, but you kind of have to do that if you're going to build a life. You have to look out for yourself, and you have to figure out what you're going to do. And so I wanted to do something big. I wanted to do something great. And so I wanted to get a job where I could make a lot of money and where I would be paid for my hard work, my enthusiasm, my everything, and that I wouldn't have a cap. Nobody was going to hold that over my head and tell me what I couldn't make. And so I got into sales. And a bunch of my friends, they were selling pest control. And so I went and did it with them. And it was kind of an extraordinary time, because I was hearing stories where guys were making $50, $100, $200, $500,000 in 4 to 5 months. And man, it just got my blood boiling, because I was like, I can do that too. I can do what these guys are doing. I know I can. And so I went and met with them, and they told me, yeah, man, our average rep, they make $20,000. That's average. And then they looked me in the eyes. Are you average? I don't think you're average. And oh man, they were just trying to pump me up. And I think to a certain extent they probably believed that, and I believed it too. But I went out and I was ready to get going. But as I got out there, the first day I knocked over 200 doors, and I didn't get a sale until the very last one. Literally the last door of the night. It was like 9:30 at night, and I got the sale, and I was so pumped, and I was just ready to take on the world. And then I didn't get a sale. I goose egged, so a little double zeros for the next 4 days. And over the next 2 weeks, I was averaging 0 to maybe 1 a day if it was a good day. And so when that started happening, out of the woodworks, excuses just started to pour in. And looking back at some of those excuses now, it's almost hard to even justify what I was trying to make excuses about. Any and everything that I could think of that was holding me back, it was bugging me. And I was just talking to myself all day long. I thought that I was selling a crappy product. I thought that I hadn't gotten enough personal training. I thought they weren't paying me enough. I thought that the managers were just trying to use me to make money. I was just doing literally everything that I could to make excuses. It was too hot, on and on. And the days that I would get 0 sales, I remember just thinking, what am I doing? I'm literally spending my time out here for nothing. I just wasted 12 hours where I could have gotten paid 10, 15, 20 bucks an hour back home. And I just worked for free. I didn't get a dang sale. And it was really, really tough to kind of push through that. And one day, it was after I had been reading a book, I realized that it was my fault, that pretty much all of the blame was on me. In fact, all of the blame was on me. That all of my lack of success had been because I was trying to blame everybody else. And when I realized that, a couple things happened. One, I started really working on what I was saying, what I was doing, how all of these other guys were selling and I wasn't. But the more important thing was I was trying to look at my why. Why was I doing this? Why was I going out, spending every day, 12 hours a day? We had really long days. We'd have a morning meeting at 8:30 a.m., get out on the doors by 9, and we would come home right around 9:30, 10, and it was really long and it was hot. I was in California. And I didn't have a very good why. My why literally was go make money. But I didn't really need money. I mean, coming home, I needed money, but I had everything I needed. I wasn't married. I didn't have any responsibilities really. And so it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to push through all of those excuses. And I realized too, a big reason that I was struggling was I really didn't think that they were doing a good job. When I worked with my grandpa, I worked for him when I was a young teenager, and it was really interesting because my grandpa went an extra mile and a half. The dude absolutely went so bonkers with pesticides that it's not even funny, and he went way, way above and beyond. And one day after I got a sale, I was watching a technician and watching how he was spraying the home, and I thought he did a pathetic job. I literally felt like I had almost just scammed the person that I had sold. And it was kind of embarrassing because I wanted to feel good about what I was doing. And I just come from a mission where I really felt good about what I was doing. I felt like I could believe in the product 100%. And so what I did is I started changing how I was looking at what I was doing. Part of the problem is at the beginning what I was looking at doing was I was selling them and I was getting paid. That's how I was analyzing the whole problem. And then I realized later that that's not really truly the best way to look at it. I think a better way to look at it was that I was helping people kind of gain a peace of mind. I was helping them to realize that, hey, like I don't have to go to the store. I don't have to go buy some scary pesticides where I might get cancer, go spray them around my house, get back inside, and keep doing that over and over and over. Instead, I have a company that I can call anytime I see bugs, and they'll come back as many times as it takes without extra charge. And when I realized that, and that I was selling that, the world just absolutely changed. I was consistently selling 3 to 4 to 5 every single day. and it almost became, it was a game, and it was fun, and I really enjoyed it because I actually felt like I was helping people. And I think that for me personally, that was the biggest difference. And after I did that, it wasn't as hard to push through excuses. Maybe I did still feel some of those other things, like I wasn't getting paid enough, or that they didn't do as good a job. But it didn't matter, because the why pushed through a lot of those reasons. Was I was actually helping someone, and I was providing them a product that they would be able to use. And our pest control guys would go back and service their property as many times as they asked. And so for me, once I felt that, I felt like we were doing something good. And it was enough for me to push through all of those hard times. The thing that's important is that everybody, they need a why. Everyone. Parents need a why. Your people at work need a why. I read a really cool story about a guy who, he later became a senator, but he was in charge of a big construction company. And to help his crew understand their whys a little bit better, when he needed them to do something, he wouldn't say, hey, go push that wheelbarrow over there with all of the scraps to the machine shop. He wouldn't say that, because when he said that, it just was a demand, and they didn't understand why they were doing it. They didn't understand what was going on. And so what he would explain it to him, and he would say, hey, could you go take these parts over to them? They cannot do their job until they get all of these bolts and screws, and so then they can screw it in. So it's up to you to make sure that we can actually keep this process going. And he helped them see a deeper why for why they were doing their job. I think that whatever we're doing, we have to actually analyze why we're doing it. I just finished a book, Extreme Ownership, and it is a great book. It's fantastic. I think everybody should read it. And there is written by 2 Navy SEALs, and they discuss a lot of things, but one overarching theme that keeps coming up over and over and over was explaining to your crew why. And it said in their book, it says, as a leader, it is crucial to articulate the mission, goals, and expectations to your team and members. Or to your team members. This ensures everyone is aligned and working towards a common objective. So even if your why is solid, you need to make sure that you can help others understand theirs. And if you do that, you create something that's deeper than just the surface level stuff that everybody normally focuses on. You're not just digging a ditch anymore. And you're not even just digging a ditch for a waterway that's going to be feeding a building. You're building a cathedral. And I think that can be applied to everything in our lives. We need a why. You need a why to go work out. Sometimes your why isn't big enough. For me, it's been really hard. I had a why when I was working out to go win a state championship in high school. And after high school ended, I just felt like it was almost a waste. And now, part of my why of why I've gotten back into it is because I want to be healthy for my kids. I want to have a good life where I can actually play. My shoulder got messed up when we were lifting, and I had been postponing working out because I just didn't really see the reason. And then when I went out and I started throwing a football and baseball, I could barely even throw a ball because it hurt so bad. And so I realized that I wouldn't even be able to run around and play catch with my kids if I didn't go get my shoulder fixed. So that was a deep enough why for me to get my butt in gear. So I had to go to a physical therapist, and I've been doing physical therapy for a few weeks now. So it's just different things. You have to find whys. If you find a deep enough why, then you find a way. If there's a will, there's a way. But the will is really your why. And so I just encourage you to go search for your why. Go search for your cathedral and build it. Don't be worried about what everybody else thinks. Don't worry if your why is not deep enough. Just do something that works for you. Figure out what your why is, and you'll be able to push through any excuse that comes your way. And if an excuse comes up that you can't get over, figure out a deeper why. So, anyways, love you guys so much. We will see you next week. Remember, stay curious, and thank you so much.